Welcome to the Genius Talk podcast. I'm your host Atul Raj from the bestemailmarketer.com, and today we have Maini Homer from homerdigitalmarketing.com. Manny, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Much appreciated.
So, for our listeners who don't know you, can you tell them who you are and what do you do?
So I basically help small to medium business owners get themselves seen, get themselves known, liked, and trusted on both LinkedIn and on Google. Okay, that's my two platforms that I love to play on, because in today's world with AI taking over and so much fake out there, that's the only kind of business that's actually going to survive going forward in the next few years, is those that have built that trust where people know that they are a real, genuine person, that they actually exist, and that they do what they say they're going to do. So I help businesses position themselves so they can be that person in their industry.
Okay, you said small and medium size. So, what do you mean by that? Can you explain?
Look, I mean, having built 18 businesses from scratch myself, I've got a lot of knowledge in a lot of areas. So I can help people in bricks and mortar. I can help people in service businesses, mechanics, trades, all that kind of thing, up to corporate accountants, all of that. And also to medium-sized businesses that have got over 50 staff. It's all the same concepts. It's just slightly different depending on what industry they're in and where their target market is, really.
Yeah. Okay, so what inspired you to start Homer Digital Marketing?
Well, it's actually an interesting story, actually, because I mean, I'm obviously an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur. I've done this for years, like for 27 years, in fact, building different businesses, selling some, morphing some, even losing a couple. Because let's face it, we've all done that. We all fail from time to time, and I guess this one was along, I suppose, a time when I'd actually just had a bit of a downtime in one of my businesses. And we were living in New Zealand at the time. It was actually a New Zealand company that we had created and we'd had for 14 years. And we moved back to New Zealand for a year with the idea of building it up and selling it. And unfortunately, we did the opposite. We lost it. And after 14 years, it was incredibly difficult to then work out what now.
Mhm.
Do you know what I mean? Because the story's never over. Not until I'm in the grave is the story over.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's like, now what? What do I do? And so it took me a while to sort of like find my grounding again. And then COVID hit, of course, which slowed everything down. But I kept seeing businesses, especially during COVID, I saw businesses falling over. I saw them failing. And I just knew that if they could find a way to get themselves seen by their ideal customer, known, liked, and trusted, then that was going to be the way forward. So maybe I was the visionary, because this is even before AI jumped into the mix here. Do you know what I mean? So maybe I was a bit of a visionary, but I saw that was the way forward, that LinkedIn and Google were the ways to go. And I became an expert at them. I had to study, I had to learn, because every business I've created has been different, but I've become an expert. And it's just about giving back now. I mean, I've had a great life. I've had a great life. And so now I can just give back to others. So why not, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, you have started 18 different businesses over your career. So, which one have taught you the most valuable lesson?
I think each business teaches you something new. Do you know what I mean? And that's one of the things that I tell my clients now. It's like every single business that I've created has been a different monster, if that makes sense. Every single one of them, they've all had different issues. They've all had different challenges. In fact, I remember someone saying to me a few years ago that even when you hit the $1 million mark, you just end up having $1 million problems. You know what I mean? So there's
Yeah.
always something new that comes up. So I don't think there's any one business that I didn't learn from. Every single one of them has been challenging, and in different ways. So I can't really say there's one in particular that taught me the most, because I'm constantly learning. And what I find too with this is that, let's say I learn something and it's of absolute no use to me at the time, and I sort of like park it. A couple of years down the track, if I'm doing something different, I'll be going, oh, I need that now. And that's when it comes into play. Do you know what I mean? So, and that's happened time and time again. It really has.
So, can you share a recent case study of yours?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually worked with a wedding shop down in Melbourne, Australia. And she had one store at the time. She wanted to obviously build up the business. She wasn't doing it that well. I think she was selling like 8 dresses a month, which was okay, but it was by only paying the bills. And so we started off by just doing a Facebook ads campaign, which ran very, very well. And I think in the first 3 weeks, I think she brought in $15,000 in income. And then we moved to Google Ads, and that was the absolute winner for her. And also other bridal shops after that. I did quite a few after that as well. And within the first month, we actually made an 1,800% return on her investment.
Wow.
Yeah. And so we knew that we were onto something, and we just kept going. And like, I've got actually screenshots there where she's told me that she hit 500,000
Yeah, yeah.
and that she was going for, like the full million for the year. And I mean, like, gosh, we were getting a $60,000 and $70,000 months, and she was spending $4,000 to do that. Like, if that's not a win, what is? Do you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, can you share a moment where a business venture failed or struggled, and how do you bounce back, and what did you learn?
Okay, so there's been a few. We've all had a few. Like, I mean, well, when you've done 18, there's been a few.
Yeah.
So that's a couple of stories I could touch on. I think what I'll touch on this time is a business that I come up with this business idea. Back in probably early 2000s, there was a company that used to go door to door, go door knocking, and they used to present these business cards to people, and they had like for a business like a restaurant or something, they had like all of these specials on it. Okay, so they might get 2 for 1, they might get a free bottle of wine, they might do something like that. And I come up with this idea of doing pretty much the same thing, but I did it for holiday places, like over the school holidays in Christchurch, New Zealand, where we lived. So, I went to the trouble of going around and talking to all of the people that would be good for it, like a movie theatre, like there was a zoo. And I filled my card with all of these vendors. And then I actually hired somebody to ring all of the schools in Christchurch to see if they would be interested in distributing the cards. The deal was that everybody won from the deal. So it was like I won, the school won, the vendors won, everybody won, because that's the only kind of deals I like to do is the win-wins. Do you know what I mean? To cut a long story short, I ended up driving around to 27 schools in a day. I got all the cards printed off. Like I spent $10,000 printing these cards off. Drove around to 27 schools who I had permission to give them the cards. Distributed the cards. They only had 30 each to sell. It wasn't huge for them. Do you know? And I went back a week later, and not one school had sold one card. Do you know why that was?
Why?
Because I'd gone to the wrong person. I'd gone to the principals instead of going to the P&C or the parents clubs that did the fundraising. That was my massive mistake. And so I actually lost that 10 grand, like pretty much overnight. How did I come back from it? I also had another business that I was selling jewelry online. Okay. And this is the ebbs and flows of business. Okay. So I had a business, I was selling jewelry online. It was completely, I didn't have a store or anything. I just had a little bit of stock. I started it with $300, probably about 4 or 5 months earlier than that. And my husband actually hurt his neck. We had a mobile mechanics as well. We had a mobile mechanic service as well, but he'd hurt his neck and was told he needed to change careers. And so I ended up throwing him a website and saying, see what you could find you could sell on here. And it was actually Alibaba. And this was before it was big. This
Yeah.
is way before. We were like one of the trendsetters on there. And he found something to sell. But I decided to sell up the jewelry that, and put it into this other business we had. Right. So I know this is a long story. Sorry. As I went to sell the jewelry, like I was gonna pull out $6,000 worth of stock, which I pulled out. Okay. And got $6,000 out of my $300 that I'd spent, and then put up that I was closing it down on the side. And this woman walks into the office and she goes, "I want to buy your business." And I said,
Wow.
"There's nothing left. There's nothing left. I've sold the stock. I've done this. I've done that. There's nothing left. It's just, some feedback on this site." And she goes, "I don't care." She goes, "I want to buy it." The woman came back 5 days in a row until I finally said, "Fine, 10 grand." And she goes, "Yeah, here you go. Take my money." So I lost 10 and made 16.
Okay, so if you could go back in time and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
I would tell my younger self, and I would beat this into my younger self, okay, to go and find out about NLP, neuro linguistic programming.
Okay.
It is seriously, if you'd known me 10 years ago, I was not the confident person you see today. I had no confidence. I had no self esteem. I had no self worth. Okay. And I didn't know how to get it. I hadn't been brought up with it. No one had ever taught me the skills I needed. And it wasn't until I discovered NLP that things changed for me. The difference in the person I am today to who I was 10 years ago is mind blowing, absolutely mind blowing. So I would find my younger self and I would shake them until they actually went and did something.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so what does a typical day in your life looks like for you right now versus when you started out?
Oh gosh. Oh gosh. Okay. So when I first started out in business, I was working for the Queensland government in a full-time job. It was a job I could have kept until I was 65 and got a gold watch. I could have stayed there my entire life if I wanted to. But no, I decided to buy a commercial cleaning franchise. Okay, that was my first business. And so to be able to do both, we would be up at 1 a.m. in the morning and we would
Okay.
go, 1 a.m. and we'd go and we'd clean restaurants that were absolutely filthy, like family restaurants. So you can imagine what they were like.
Yeah, yeah.
So we would clean Sizzler, that was big over here, and McDonald's. And then we would get home around about 7 in the morning. We'd eat, we'd shower, we'd go to our day jobs. I would sit there in an office all day until 5. I would get home by 6, I would eat, and I would sleep.
I wonder how you were sleeping.
Well, we weren't sleeping terribly well because we had a very noisy neighbor, but we were doing the best we could. Do you know what I mean? And we did
Yeah.
that for like 6 months. Okay. So that was, in the beginning. I mean, come 27 years later, obviously I've moved country, I've moved countries. I've got 2 teenage children. So I've gone through bringing children up, got an amazing husband. My days now, like, still start early, but not as early. They start around about 6 in the morning. I'm the kind of person that the minute I wake up, it's like, right, this has to be done. Do you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
probably work, on and off. I mean, I went out for lunch today with a girlfriend. Like, if my kids need something, I'll go and do that. But I've got a lot more freedom than when I first started. And I think that's what's most important. I've had that lifestyle the whole way through. I've had the freedom.
So for our listeners who want to know more about you and want to connect with you or want to hire a marketing company, where can they go?
Find me on LinkedIn. Honestly, simply type my name into LinkedIn. I'm pretty much the only person that exists on there with that name. So, connect with me. Let's talk.
That's awesome. So is there anything else that you would like to share?
I'd like to say to small businesses out there, if you're sitting back waiting, if you're sitting back wondering what to do about AI and how to deal with it, then the only way forward is to build that trust, build those relationships, because that's the only thing that AI can't replace. So if you're sitting back waiting, don't wait any longer because it's already almost too late now.
Okay, great. So thank you so much for spending some time with us, Maini. It
No
was really
worries.
great chatting with you.
All right, great. Good talking to you as well. Thank you.
You're welcome.